you ever get told you look like a celebrity?
Yeah.
Do you?
I do.
I do too. All the time on the plane, I get one person. And it's just because I have dark hair and blue eyes.
Ooh.
But I don't see it. So don't get excited.
Say it.
It's MG. I don't even know if it's MGK's wife or his girlfriend.
Megan Fox.
Hey guys, thanks for stopping by here at Gteatv. I am Pam. Kicking off the revamp of this channel, we're going to be breaking down one of the most popular dating shows, Love is Blind. They recently released season 6 for 6 episodes on Valentine's Day, of course. And let me tell y'all, they did not disappoint. So the first episode starts off like they normally would do their first episode. They give us a little montage of all the singles lined up in front of their pods or waiting to talk to their potential mates. And next they cut to a scene of all the singles in their quarters and they introduce them to the Lachey's. And of course the Lachey's have to ask this question, why choose Love is Blind? They get a few of the singles to answer the question. Some of them are in our main cast, and they're just some that we will no longer see after this episode. But they really focus on one single, and her name is Jessica. She's 28 years old, and she lets all know that she's a single mother. She has a 10-year-old daughter named Autumn. Now, Jessica is the first single parent that they casted on Love is Blind. Not sure why they never did it previously. I think, and I don't mean to call a child a baggage because a child isn't baggage, but I think they just wanted it to be like an easier transition on the show when two people come together and not having a kid involved. But because, Love is Blind has been really popular lately with all the drama, they want to probably try something different. Why not hire a single parent, or why not cast, a single parent on their show? So after they speak to Jessica and all the singles, now we get to see the singles in the pods. And the first couple of people that we see are in a quad entanglement, and that is Trevor, Chelsea, Jimmy, and Jessica, who we just previously talked about. So they first start off with Trevor and Chelsea, and Trevor says the reason why he is trying Love is Blind because he thinks people judges him off of his appearance. He's very, fit. He's buff. They think he's, a meathead. He's just a fitness person. But in actuality, he's just a big old teddy bear. So he meets Chelsea and, they have like a typical, first meeting conversation. But what they really bond together with was their dog names. Literally, her dog name is Trevor and his dog name is Chelsea. I don't know if I would say, oh my God, I'm compatible with somebody because his dog name is my name, but whatever, they took that and they ran with it. They had a really good conversation. They don't really show us too much of the conversation, but they definitely want to continue on talking to one another. So then it jumps to Chelsea and Jimmy. Same thing, general conversation, oh, hi, my name is such and such. Chelsea is, I don't know how old Chelsea is, but Chelsea, is Chelsea 30? I think Chelsea's 30. Chelsea is a flight attendant, but she also owns, I believe, an event company. And Jimmy, I believe, is a salesperson. Honestly, I never checked for too many of their occupations. I don't think we're really truly interested in that. But, like I said, they had a really good conversation. Nothing too crazy with it. But then we get Jimmy with Jessica. And they hit it off just the same as the other ones, but with her, she's a little direct. So when he enters into the pod to talk to her, he goes, who am I speaking to? And she goes, your wife? And he laughs, but honey, she's direct, and I don't know if he's feeling it or not. Maybe he's not used to it, but he definitely is interested. Honestly, the conversation didn't go too much in depth after that, but one thing she did not mention to him that she had a 10-year-old daughter. Now that is going to bite her in the butt later. I'm not sure why she just didn't not necessarily start the conversation, but in the first conversation, I don't know why she didn't tell the men that she was talking to, like, listen, my name is Jessica, blah blah blah, I'm gonna get this out of the gate because I want to wean out all the people who are not interested. I have a 10-year-old daughter. Don't understand why she didn't do that. but she didn't. So the next single we meet is Matthew. Oh, good old Matthew. Matthew enters into Jessica pod and they introduce themselves. But he comes out the gate and he says, listen, I got 15 questions. You could choose 1 through 15. So Jessica chooses one of the questions and she answers. But then she asks him, can you answer that question? And this man is so awkward. He's just like, he looks extremely uncomfortable. And he says to her, well, I wasn't anticipating on someone asking me these questions. And then he proceeds to get up and leave. I've never seen anything like this. This man is so awkward and so antisocial. It is just so shocking. So after he leaves the pod with Jessica, he enters another pod, and this time it's with Sarah Ann. So he asks Sarah Ann the same thing. Listen, I have 15 questions. Choose one. And Sarah Ann, obliges it. She chooses one. And honey, it's a loaded question. She's going in. He's asking her what I believe what her short-term goals were, but she was actually answering her long-term goals. But she was going on and on and on, and you could just tell he just couldn't take it anymore. He was just holding his hands and his head in his hands. He just looked like he just did not want to be there. So instead of this grown man who is almost in his 40s, by the way, he's like 35, 36, instead of him saying, hey, stop right there, I don't think this is gonna work, get up and leave. No, he just gets up and he walks out again for the second time. I don't know what's up with this man. They do cut to him saying, oh, this is the first time that he's doing something like this. That's all of them, by the way. But pretty much that it's uncomfortable. He's never done this before, blah, blah, blah. He's awkward, right? So after that, they cut to him talking to another young lady, and her name is Amber. Now, before I get into this, to their conversation, him coming to Amber now introduces another quad of an entanglement, and that would be Matthew, Amber, AD. AD's name is Amber as well, but she just decides to go with Amber Denise, and I'm assuming that was from producers because they had 2 Ambers, and Clay. So when Matthew meets Amber, again, he asks the same question. I got 15 questions, blah, blah, blah. Choose one. And so she is so sweet. And she goes, number 4, please. And then he proceeds to tell her, oh, please, pick another one. So many people chose that number. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, so what if she chooses number 4? First of all, you're talking to 10 different women. If 5 of them chose number 4, you need to listen to what each one says, because the answer is going to be different in some sort of way. So she's so sweet. She's so nice. She asks him, you choose the question. So he chooses a question and she proceeds to, answer it. So then it cuts to Matthew meeting AD. And I don't know what it is, but something about AD, he instantly became comfortable. I mean, to me, she talked the same as all the other women. I don't know what it was, but he was just super comfortable with her. He immediately took his jacket off. He sat on the floor, and they just had like a cute little conversation. He was just telling her, I've never done this before. And she's just like, honey, join the club. We all have not done this before. But then he also kind of proceeds to go into his background. He's like, I'm from a small town, with 600 people. She proceeds to tell him that I'm from Boston, I'm from a city, and they just really just connect with one another. Then it jumps to Amber meeting Mr. Smoothness himself, Mr. Clay. Honestly, I think these two off the bat knew each other. They were black because they were just comfortable. Just like with her and Matthew, just a little bit different, just a little bit more comfortable. And I think it's because they knew they were talking to another black person on the other end. But they proceed to, have their conversation, their first date conversation. He tells her, have you tried like dating apps? And she says yes. And, nothing has, happened through the apps. And he proceeds to tell her that, Nothing really went well for himself. That's pretty much it when it comes to this conversation. They hit it off and they definitely want to see each other again. So then it cuts to all the singles back into their quarters and they're talking amongst each other of who their potential, mate would be. They go to Trevor. Trevor says Chelsea is his number one. And then they cut to Chelsea and Chelsea's like she's feeling Trevor and Jimmy. And then they show Jessica and Jessica says she's feeling Jimmy. And then Jimmy pretty much doesn't tell anyone who's he feeling. He just saying to the guys like, listen, I had a good day. Then they go to Clay and Clay is like, yo, I like AD. Honestly, I don't think Clay liked anybody else besides AD. Yeah, he doesn't talk about anybody else besides her. But yeah, so he says that he likes AD and then it cuts to AD talking about how she likes Clay. But then she also says she has another potential and she's like, it's Matthew. And all the girls is like, what? Wait, who? What? Matthew? Like, girl, are you sure? Like, he is not it. He's rude. He's awkward. And then she like kind of explains to him like, no, like, he really opens up in their conversation. He was really sweet and they really hit it off and she's just going to continue on to see him just in case, he may be her, her future husband. So it's the next day and we meet Amy and Johnny. Honestly, they're like my favorite couple of this season. They just seem to mesh really, really well. I like them and they're like drama free from what I can see. So they proceed to have, it looks like their second date. And they just talk about their likes and just pretty much about their background. She talks about being Latin. He talks about, his upbringing in Jersey with his parents and, his siblings and how he really cherished those memories. And then he proceeds to ask her, like, where would you like to travel and what would you like to do? Amy proceeds to say she would love to visit Japan. She thinks the energy in Japan is just absolutely amazing. And she really likes anime, right? So Johnny shockingly says that, Japan is on his bucket list, but he's never left the country. What? You ain't never left the country? You never been to Canada? You never been to the Caribbean? You never been to Mexico? Really? Oh, God, you're too old. You need to travel, brother. After that, it jumps to another date with Clay and AD. And Clay asks AD, what does AD stand for? And I instantly got turned off because she said in the first meeting that her name is AD, but her name is Amber, but she goes by AD. So right there, red flag, he does not listen, right? Call me cruel, call me cold, but I'm sorry, or call me short, whatever you want to call me, but that's a red flag for me right there. She introduces herself as Amber, but she said that she calls herself AD. How did you not catch that? How did you not remember that? But anyway, she let that sucker slide. All right, and he proceeds to tell her that, Clay is short for Clayton, which to me was pretty obvious. But then, as he's a smooth talker. He's just, throwing game, spitting game at her. They start flirting and they start talking about rap. And I was just like completely like disinterested in this whole entire conversation. And the reason why is because I think, and it's just me, I think Clay is not genuine in this process. I don't know if he's looking for fame. I don't know, honestly, what he's looking for, but it's not love. It really isn't. And you'll see why later on in this video. So it cuts to Matthew being with AD, and they're pretty happy to be talking to one another. He's actually laughing and smiling. All the other cuts of him, like in the quarters, he's not smiling. He barely interacts with anyone. He just sits there by himself. So to see him just smiling and laughing with AD is just, it's pretty cool. So then we go into a cut of the ladies in the quarters, and Jessica's talking to a few of the girls. I don't remember their names. We really don't see them outside of like little conversations like that. But Jessica proceeds to confess that she really likes Jimmy and that he might be it. she tells them, like how excited they are when they find out each other are in the pod. And while she's explaining this to the girls, they cut to one of their dates where they're having buffalo wings, and surprise, surprise, Johnny can't take the heat. And honey, from future episodes, he can't take the heat in different aspects in the situations when it comes to this show. But then it goes back again to talking to Jessica talking to the ladies in the quarters, and I'm assuming this is another day because she tells them that, this is the day that I'm gonna let Jimmy know that, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and she's just really, really, really nervous. So then it shows her coming into the pod and him, entering into the pod, and Jimmy talks about his family and how I'm assuming his previous potentials, like his ex-girlfriends or whatever, they weren't really accepting of his family. And just from him talking, it just seems like possibly they were like really, really poor. Maybe I'm not catching it right, but it just came off to me that maybe he just didn't come from a rich family. He's a Southern boy too, so possibly he was poor. And then Jessica, she finally says that, I'm a mother of a 10-year-old girl. And his face, his face is just stone, like, what? And she proceeds to kind of give him, I guess, some information on the daughter of why, I don't know, she kind of like is explaining herself, and that really kind of like pissed me off with her, because I just feel like you're looking for love. This is not something, this process is not, a year, 6 months. You're literally getting to know somebody within a week span, and then you have 4 weeks to see if you guys, your regular lives, mesh well to one another. And honestly, like, her kind of explaining herself after she dropped that she had a 10-year-old daughter just really annoyed me, because I would have just been like, listen, I have something to tell you. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I'm sorry to tell you like this. What do you think? We could sit in silence while you take that in, and then we can have a conversation. But I'm not explaining my child. That's something we're not doing at all. That ain't happening. I'm a mother. I have a 10-year-old. If this is something you want to do, she is something that's a part of my life, and she's included. This is a package deal. Not to be harsh, not to be rude, not to be blunt, but it is what it is. That's why I was saying in the beginning, she should have said early in the video, she should have came out the gate with that, because now she's in this situation where she's just like, she really likes this dude and he likes her, and now he knows that she has a daughter. But what if he doesn't want to be a stepdad to someone? He's 20, how old is he? 27 years old. I highly doubt he's ready to deal with a 10-year-old. Maybe if the kid was like 2 or 3, it would be a little bit easier. You can kind of, win a 2 or 3-year-old or even a 5-year-old over, but a 10-year-old, a preteen, ooh, that's going to be hard work, honey, to win a person over like that. Oh, that's going to be hard. So, she explains it to him, and then he's just like shocked, but then he proceeds to talk to her, and he asks a few questions about Autumn, like, what is her name, that type of thing. And then after that, they just kind of part ways, and then we just cut to Jimmy and Chelsea. Let me tell y'all, he can't win today. So he talks to Chelsea. Chelsea's super excited. He's super excited. He's talking to Chelsea, and she drops her bomb. She tells him, I was married at a young age. And he goes, well, how old were you? And she says 18, and he's just sitting there like, oh my God, like, what is with today and these like big bombs that they're dropping on me? And he's pretty much trying to just like take it all in. I don't think he really necessarily cares that she was married at 18, but she kind of takes his silence as like he's not feeling it, and she gets on the floor and she starts crying. Oh God, Chelsea and her crying annoys the heck out of me. I don't know why she's crying about that. He didn't say anything bad about her divorcing, but he does mention like this is the second like bomb that he's received today, and he's just pretty much trying to take it all in. So after that, after their little date, then they cut to Trevor and Chelsea. And honestly, this conversation was a little boring. But something that Chelsea does to him, I do not appreciate. And I noticed that she does that throughout the first, I would say, 4 or 5 episodes. So with Trevor, they're having the conversation, right? But then she just kind of throws it out there like, oh, I was married. And he's like, what? She's like, yeah, didn't we have this conversation before? And he's like, no, you did not mention this to me. And she's like, oh, okay, yeah, so I was married. Like, it's not a big deal. But when it came to Jimmy, she had to like really like say, hey, I was married at 18. And when he wasn't giving the reaction that she wanted, she was on the floor crying. But when it comes to Trevor, she's like, oh yeah, I was married at 18. Like, he's supposed to take it in. And his face in the beginning is like, what? Like, why would she introduce that information like that? But then he's so sweet and so accepting. He's just like, whatever. He's like, it's life. Everybody, assumes they're going to have like a fairy tale life, but that's not reality. There are going to be people who have children like Jessica. There's going to be people who had previous relationships that weren't just boyfriend, girlfriend, but actual marriages. And she's all smiling, he. But again, I just don't like the way she approaches Trevor versus Jimmy. Like, she cares about Jimmy's feelings more than she cares about Trevor's feelings. And I particularly don't like that at all. Later on, I'm going to talk a little bit more about Chelsea because I'm not a fan of her at all. She does little manipulation things that I don't particularly care for, but that's later on down the line in this video. So now it jumps back to Johnny and Amy. Yet again, another boring conversation. He's singing. He made up a song that he's singing for her. Boring, blah, blah, blah. So then it cuts to the next day. That's what it does, right? And it's the two Ambers talking. Now, Amber, not AD, is like, she's like, oh yeah, I'm enjoying talking to my man. And at this point, AD doesn't know that she's talking about Matthew, right? So she's like, she's talking to her friend. She's like, oh, okay, all right. And then we see another date with Clay and AD. I don't know. I don't know. Something about Clay just really irritates me. So he's talking to her and saying to her, that he's like this smooth talker and this experience is completely different, for how he moves in real life. And I'm just like, I'm tired of people saying that. Like, everybody on your season, this is something new to them. They've never done anything like this before. So I don't understand why people keep repeating that. Keep saying that, not repeating, but just keep saying it. And he says that, he really appreciates it. But honey child, the music stops. And some drama's going to come once the music stops in the background of a show. So he tells AD, listen, I'm all for this emotional connection. But honey, I need to know what you look like. He said, in order for me to propose, in order for me to proceed, I need to know if you got a fatty. And this is why I said in the beginning that I think they knew what their races were when they were talking to one another. Like, he instantly knew that was a black woman, because if he didn't know that was a black woman, why would you even say that? He's like, well, you know what, that's not true. She proceeds to tell him what physical features that he likes, and he said he likes a fatty and he likes nice lips or whatever. So she's instantly turned off by that. She's like, you asking these things, you asking for physical descriptions takes away from this whole experience. This whole experience is about emotional connection, is not about a physical connection. And he's pretty much saying like, yeah, that's all fine and dandy, but if you want this ring, you want us to proceed, I need to know if you got a body, yada yada. So she's like completely shut off with him, and the date ends, right? So after the date ends with 80 and Clay, 80 is just like really bothered by the statements that Clay made. She's really questioning if he's genuine because, you know, this is Love is Blind. It's supposed to be an emotional connection. And he's just telling her, you know, I need to know what you look like in order for me to proceed. So she meets up with Matthew and she is excited. He's excited. They're just happy to, you know, be speaking to one another. But then in the conversation, you know, he tells her, you know, like, I know this is the process of the show, but I am jealous that you talk to other men. And, you know, she tells him that, you know, she feels the same way that he feels about her. You know, definitely after what happened between her and Clay. I think she's kind of leaning a little bit more towards Matthew now after that conversation. In the conversation, Matthew proceeds to tell her, like, listen, there's two options. He wants her or just nobody at all. And Honey AZ is melting. Everything he throwing out there, she is just like puddles on the floor. You hear me? And she appreciates that he's validating her feelings or just, you know, just showing his desire in her, right? Because that's what all the women want, right? So then he proceeds to lay on the icing on the cake, baby, if I'm saying that term, that saying right. He says, listen, you are the greatest accomplishment, or his greatest accomplishment on this show is finding her. And she's just like, oh, Matthew, oh, Matthew. I'm just like, girl, relax. It's not that deep. So then he asks her, you know, like pretty much like about her father. And she tells him, you know, my dad died last year, but they didn't really have a good relationship. You know, it's nothing, you know, nothing serious on her. She's like, listen, he's dead, whatever. So then he tells her, you know, the reason why he asked that is because he wouldn't feel right proposing to her unless he asked her father for a hand in marriage. But then he just pretty much says, you know, that obstacle is null and void. So I guess he just proceed on to, you know, propose to her, you know, sooner than later or whatever. So then she asks him, because she knows he's white, but does he know that she's black? Listen, I'm going to say this, right? I don't know if a lot of white people can detect this. Y'all let me know. But no matter how us black women talk, there's something in our voice that can tell that we're black. Not all black women talk like me. Like, I have more of a deeper tone to my voice. Like, you say Amber. Amber has more of a higher tone. But you can still tell that Amber is black. And I'm pretty sure that Matthew knows that too. But she, you know, she asks a good question. She says, you know, does race and ethnicity matter? And he tells her, you know, I don't care. He's like, listen, I don't give a damn, you know. And then he starts to joke and he says, listen, we can leave together. I can propose to you on a mountain. He does not care. They could leave today. That's all that matters. Then he proceeds to say, listen, you know, or pretty much they're ending the conversation. And he goes, listen, you're not gonna tell anyone what I'm saying in here. And, you know, she doesn't really answer, but we all know she's gonna say something. Come on, it's girls, it's gossiping. Right? So then after their date, this is towards the end of the episode, you know, AD gets with her girl. She gets with Amber. And then she gets with the other young lady. I think her name is Alejandra. I think that's how you say her name. I'm not too sure. But she's sitting there on the kitchen island and she's talking to them. And Amber proceeds to tell AD that she's been talking to Matthew. And when I tell you, AD's face like somebody punched in her stomach, but she's trying to hold her emotions in. And Amber says that Matthew is my number one. And that he told her pretty much what he said with AD, he told to Amber. And Amber's trying AD is trying so hard not to show her emotions on her face. She has not told Amber that they've been talking to the same guy. She is just, you can tell she is just so hurt. And she's hiding her emotions. But this was a good first episode. Let's jump into the second one. So the second episode opens up and we're introduced to a new couple, Jeremy, Laura, and Sarah Ann. Jeremy is in the male quarters in the lounge area and he's talking to a couple of the guys and he's saying how Laura is his number one. Jeremy, my dude, you are going to regret seeing that and regret pursuing that woman. She is just not it for you. I'm sorry. I will talk more about their situation later on in the season, but they really don't feature much of this trouble in the first, I would say, the first 4 episodes of the season. Laura and Jeremy meet up in the pods, and she goes, "Do you know who this is?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's Sarah." Now, at first, I thought he was joking about saying Sarah, but he actually wasn't joking. He really thought it was Sarah Ann that he was talking to, not Laura. But he kind of like saves himself and says, "Oh yeah, I'm just joking. I knew it was you, Laura." But deep down, she knew that he wasn't joking, right? So then they jump to Jeremy talking with Sarah Ann, and another simple conversation, again, nothing too serious with them. And we cut to Johnny and Amy again. Now, I told you guys, and I said it before, I think I've said a couple of times, this is my favorite couple. I do believe that they will go the distance. However, because they don't have so much issues between one another, which they shouldn't in this part of their relationship or this stage of their relationship, but I find them to be, boring. So next, AD meets up with Matthew, and she pretty much tells him what's been going on, that she knows that he's been talking to Amber. She knows that what he's been saying to Amber, he's been saying to her, and she's really upset with that. So he gets caught. He's caught on what he's saying, and he's sitting there trying to think what he can say to her, but then he proceeds to say, yes, I've been talking to Amber, and no, I haven't been saying the same things to her. Yours was a lot, our conversations were deeper. And this man is literally playing semantics with her. I mean, you may have not said the same exact words, but what you meant both times to 2 different women are the same. Just stop. Just cut it out. I can't stand when people play semantics. It's really annoying. It's a manipulation thing. But anyway, he's talking, he continues to talk to her. She is really emotional because, again, like I told you, after that whole thing with Clay, she really convinced herself that Matthew wasn't the one. But let's be real here, he's not genuine, right? So she gets a little upset. She doesn't cry just yet, thank you Lord, because I'm so sick of her crying. Now we see Clay and AD. So Clay immediately stops and he apologized to AD. He's like, "Listen, I let the old ways of myself get in the way of really getting to know you. I know this is an emotional connection. It's not a physical connection. And I'm really, really sorry." So AD proceeds to let Clay know that he's not the only one that she made a connection with, and he appears to be devastated. Again, I don't think he's genuine at all when he's devastated. I think he believes he's God's gift to women, and he cannot believe that she had another connection. I'm sorry. It's just, this man, none of them, Matthew or him, are just not it. They're not. They are playing these women like a dang fiddle, and they need to wake up. Okay? So after he, convinces her that he's totally upset, he goes, "Who's the other guy?" And she proceeds to tell him that it's Matthew. And then he's like, "Who the hell's Matt?" And then it clicks in his head who Matthew is, and he gets even madder. He's like, "Are you serious? You connected with this person. I know who he is in the quarters. You don't, and he is not it." And I'm sorry, I was dying laughing at his facial expressions when he found out it was Michael. He says, "You know what? Let's just end this date. We'll talk, tomorrow." And she's like, "Okay." But then he gets upset because he doesn't get any reassurance from her, excuse me. And he's just like, "That's all you're gonna say?" And she's just like, "I don't know what you want me to say, Clay." And she starts crying. He's like, "Yo, I need some reassurance." And she just proceeds to cry. And her crying really pisses me off. It's just like, 80, are you that desperate to find a man? Like, I don't understand why you're crying. You do not know him. You do not know Matthew like that to have invest your heart in so deeply that you need to cry. Wake up, girl. Wake up and see those them red flags that you like to dismiss. Please stop crying over these men. They don't deserve your damn tears. Okay? So then she leaves the pods and she goes back into her quarters where she sees Alejandra, and then she kind of looks off to the side and she sees Amber, and she has a little bit of like mean look in her face, and I don't know, it's because she thinks that Amber messed up her, her chances with Matthew. I don't know what it is, but then she proceeds to blurt out that she was seeing Matthew, and Amber's face looks like devastated. She's like, come again? And she's like, pretty much I'm the other woman that he's been seeing. And she really pissed me off there because I felt like she was hurt by both of these men. Both conversations didn't go well. And she probably sees Amber just looking regular, and she wanted to make her hurt. And I did not appreciate that at all. And she succeeded in making her hurt. That was dead wrong on AD's end. So that pretty much ends, and then we get to Clay going back into the male quarters, and he's talking to Drake and Kenneth, and he is like upset, quote unquote upset. He's acting, and he lets them know like, yo, this conversation went left, and I found out that she's been talking to Matthew. And the other guys is like, word, for real? He's like, yeah, like, come on, like, there's no comparison. Again, you thinking a little too highly for yourself, brother. You're not all that. You cute, you alright, and your smoothness is okay, but you're not all that. I'm sorry. You're just not. You need to lower it down a couple of notches. Okay? So then it jumps back to AD and Amber sitting on the couch, and AD is telling Amber everything that Matthew has been saying, and Amber just starts crying, and she immediately apologized to AD. And I'm like, excuse you, girl. You don't need to apologize to AD for nothing. You did nothing. Soon as she heard you talking about Matthew, she should have opened her mouth and said, I'm seeing him too. No, she wanted to keep quiet. So she does not deserve an apology from you at all. You were simply expressing your experience with a guy that you liked to one of your friends for the season, because I wouldn't even consider them friends, but a girl that you're getting to know in the quarters. So, girl, don't do stuff like that again. Please, just please don't, because she definitely did not deserve that, especially after what she did when she first walked in. Anyway, so now we jump into something much, much more fresher, and we are introduced to Kenneth and Brittany. Kenneth and Brittany are some of the youngest singles for season 6. But can I be honest with you? When I saw their ages, I was honestly shocked. You're telling me that woman is 24 and he's 25? They both look like they're in their mid to late 30s. So I was really shocked to know about their age. But they have a really good conversation, and they find out they have a lot of things in common. Like, they're both really religious. They both worked in the school system. She was a teacher. He is a principal. They also connect on one of their parents dying at a young age. Her dad dying when she was like 4 or 5, I think, and then his mother dying when he was 12. And then they also find out that both their mothers are part of a set of twins, which I find to be really, really cute. I do like this couple a lot. I just think that the obstacle that they're really going to face is race, because he says that he's never dated a white woman, and I highly doubt that she dated a black man. And if she's going to marry this man and have kids, she needs to prepare herself that she is going to have black children, regardless of the fact that their mother is white. They will be considered just black. Okay, so then we cut to another date with Johnny and Amy. They're eating sushi and they're talking about lifestyle. She's saying that she really doesn't cook. or whatever. These young girls don't know how to cook. Is a damn shame. But anyway, and I'm not even talking about for no man, because that's the least of the worries. But cook for yourself. You know how much money you wasted buying stuff outside like that? Just crazy. So while they're having a conversation, Johnny slips and says that he loves Amy. And she's just like so giddy and shocked. And he's like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. Was it a cute moment? Kind of. I just think like when people come on this show and they find the quote unquote person that they want and they say, I love you, I feel like they're trying to like one up Cameron and Lauren from season 1, because when Cameron said it to Lauren, it was just so genuine and sweet, and then everybody since who's done that, it just comes off like they're just trying to recreate it and make it better. But you know, whatever. Congrats, sis, on him saying I love you to you. Hopefully the next time we see you both, he's proposing to you. You know what I'm saying? Let's cross fingers. So then next we have Jimmy and Chelsea, and she immediately apologized to him on how she acted when she told him that she was married. But you know, he accepts her apology and he says, listen, you being previously married is not a deal breaker for me. Like, I'm okay with that. And you know, she is just giddy on giddy. So then they proceed to talk about, you know, random stuff like, oh, you know, what destination place you would like to be, you know, stuff like that. But baby, they come to a dead silence. None of them are talking. And this is when the most viral moment of season six, has happened. Chelsea proceeds to ask Jimmy, does he look like a celebrity? Does he get mistaken for a celebrity? Now, he says yes, and that's all he says. He does not proceed to say who it is, so I highly doubt it's somebody good looking, right? Then this woman fixes her face up to say, I look like this one person. People at, you know, her job at the airport always mistake her for this one particular person because they both have dark hair and blue eyes. I don't know who she thinks she is talking to. I don't know if she's trying to convince herself, but number one, Chelsea, you do not have dark hair. Your hair is like medium brown, right? So then she goes and she says, to him, she doesn't say flat out who the person is. She lets him say it. And she goes, oh yeah, this person, she's like married to MGK or they're dating. I'm not too sure what their status is. And Jimmy has the most ecstatic face and he says, Megan Fox. And she goes, ha ha ha, yeah. She said, now listen, we just have the same, you know, color hair and eyes. That's all, pretty much that's all I'm saying. So don't, when you see me and you don't see that, don't get your hypes up. Chelsea. You look nothing like Megan Fox. I'm not saying that you are not a pretty woman. You are very pretty. However, you don't look like Megan Fox. When I first saw her, I honestly thought she looked like a mixture of Molly Ringwald and Natalie Young. I can't even say her name. Okay? And I'm not just talking about the chin, because they both have the same chin. Even Molly Ringwald has that same chin. But I just feel like she really looks like Natalie Nunn with the beady little eyes as well. So I can't believe she said that she looks like Megan Good. And honey, that is going to bite her in the butt later on. So here I'm going to really discuss about Chelsea, even though I've already been talking about her, but this here I'm going to really talk about Chelsea, and she really like pisses me off, and she's very manipulative, right? So her bringing up the celebrity, can't even say it. The only reason why she brought up that celebrity lookalike comment or question was because she wanted to get one up of Jessica. I feel like I'm saying that wrong, right? We all know on the side of the camera that Jessica's beautiful. The only problem with her is that she has a daughter. So what does Chelsea do? Chelsea proceeds to lie to Johnny and say, I look like Megan Fox. Why? So she can have one up on Jessica. Remember, Jimmy doesn't know what Jessica looks like. So he just sees a potential woman that he may not find attractive with the daughter, and he'll be like stuck. Whereas he's having this good conversation with this other young lady. She doesn't have a child, but she looks like Megan Fox. You get what I'm saying? She did that solely so she can have one up on Jessica and baby. By her doing that, she really, really is going to regret it. But I just don't like the manipulation that Chelsea does with Jimmy and with Trevor. Like I said before, the way she treats Trevor to me is just not nice. And again, she comes off like she likes him, but she really doesn't. She just wants to hold on to him so she can say, a man proposed to me on the show. Chelsea is very insecure. I've seen her body shape. Chelsea looks like she used to be fat and then she lost the weight and she's not yet comfortable. She gives me those vibes. I'm not sure if she's had like major issues when dating, if she was fat. I don't know, just something about her that's very insecure, very manipulative, and I'm not feeling it. And she continues to do it too throughout the season. So after that issue happened, we see Jessica talking about her next date with Jimmy and how nervous she is because the way they left it off wasn't good once she told him that she had a daughter. So then they meet up in the pods, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. But she starts to cry and she says how she misses her daughter. Right now she is on spring break and she wishes she was with her. And Jimmy looks completely checked out. Like, he looks checked out. He got Megan Fox on the other end. He's like, why am I dealing with this? I don't want to deal with no daughter. But, Jimmy is a person who lacks balls. And he proceeds to, string Jessica along by asking her about Autumn. And of course, Jessica is happy to talk about her daughter because that's her daughter. She loves her and she thinks she's the best of the best. And then we go into Trevor and Chelsea. And here she goes, egging this man on, they're talking about what they have in common, and it just makes me really sad for him. Any ladies who are in the Charlotte area, that is a single man. Well, I'm assuming he's single. Y'all need to go get up on him because he is a rarity from what we're seeing here. A rarity. So after that, we cut to Johnny and Amy again. And this is where Johnny proposes to Amy. She says yes, but that's about it. I'm ready for more juice. Like I said, they really don't have nothing going on, so it's a little boring. So the final dates are with AD, Matthew, and Clayton, but she first speaks to Matthew. When he goes into the pods, he comes off like he's visibly upset, and she proceeds to say, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm going through it. Did you know that Amber left? Matthew, what makes you think that she doesn't know that Amber left? What makes you think she didn't know that? Of course she knew that, right? So she goes, yes, I did know that. And he goes, oh, was it because of me? And, in more ways than none, she's like, yeah, it was about you and the situation. You lied to both of them. You said the same thing to both of them for whatever reasons are. I don't know why he just wasn't upfront. Like, listen, I know you're talking to other people. I'm talking to other people. I do like you, but I'm still unsure of both of you. I think, and I'm going to be really honest, if he was upfront with AD about that, I think AD would still be head over heels into him. But because he went the other way, she's completely checked out. She's done with him, right? So then he begins to kind of sniffle. And she's like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I hurt someone. And she's like, who, Amber? Just Amber? And he's like, no, I hurt you too. But then proceeds to fix his face to say America loves an underdog and loves a comeback. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? See, him and Clay are the same exact person. Clay fixed his face about Matthew, like he's above Matthew, but at the end of the day, they're both the same. They both are specifically on his show to look for camera time. And it's crazy. For whatever reasons, Matthew is looking for camera time. We will never know. But Clayton is obviously, he wants to be a celebrity. Because there's just no way. They are both in the same, and they are both looking for women they can manipulate. They see that Amber and AZ are kind of on the weak side, and they just winning for the kill. They just winning for the kill. There's just no way. There's no way. So Amber is pretty much done at this point, and she just breaks up with him, and they both leave the pods. You know, she goes into the women's quarters, and then he comes into the male quarters, and he's like, I'm done. I'm gonna go fight Amber. And this is exactly what I'm talking about. So you lied to AD and said that your conversations are more deeper, but when she didn't want you, you went straight to you're going straight to Amber. Just fake all around. I don't get why Netflix continues to cast these men, because it's just it's disgusting. It honestly is disgusting. And I am really curious to see if Matt is going to show up on the episode where the couples and singles get together, because baby, that episode is going to be so good. So the final scene of the episode is Johnny and Amy getting ready to meet. They're both nervous, but they do love each other and they want it to work. And the episode ends with the walls separating. So that is it for my recap for Love is Blind episode 1 and 2. This video might be a tad bit long, so I do appreciate that you guys are listening to me. I'm going to try to make the 3rd and 4th and the 5th and 6th and so on a lot more quicker. But I do appreciate you guys watching my videos, and if you do like it, make sure you give a thumbs up. If you definitely want to see more of my reality recaps, make sure you subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.